you might remind me. But I like to record the sessions, and I may even be able to put them on YouTube. I did my summer classes, but for Math 203, where I put all the sessions onto YouTube, and that worked really well too, because these conferences only stay up here for 2 weeks. So anyway, so that's where everything is at. So what'll happen is when this one is done, it'll be down here and concluded, and then about 2 hours after the class, the recording will show up. So where you want to start at is modules. The modules in Canvas is kind of the key to everything. And I've moved it all the way up to the top where it says Alex website. And that's where you want to start at. And you might be able to go to Alex and direct. Well, I know you can, because up until this semester, we weren't linking it. And it's the way we would do it. We'd go through the Alex website. But this right here will always take you there. And so this is why I'm going to show you to do it the first time. So click on that. It's right up at the top there. And it'll open up in a new window. And I'm going to have to change the share on that. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. I'm sorry, I shared the wrong one. So this is how you get set up to get access to both the online work, where all your work is going to be done at. And you also will have an what they call an e-text in there. You don't have to have the physical textbook as far as I'm concerned. But the one you always want to go to is the one that says Alex, okay? Because this is Math 120. If you were to take Math 102, 203, we've been using Connect. So click on Alex. And then I'll have to show you that window because it always opens up into a new window. And the first time you do this, then you're going to have to go through a setup process. All right. And so this is what it looks like, but I'm going to back up a bit because I'm going to do the student view. Let's see. I can do the student view, and I think that'll be maybe more helpful. Because if I do the student view, then I don't already have an account, and I can at least show you where to get started at. So back to the modules, back to the So the first time you do it, like anything to do with software, you're going to have to sign your life away and say, I agree. And then once you do that, you get started. And good. It only says, it's only mine that says Connect Math. Good. So that'll save some confusion. So you click on that, Alex. And as I said, I got to keep sharing here because it keeps opening a different one. Now, the first time you do this, unless you have taken the course before, and this is a repeat, you want to say, no, I've never used Alex before. Now, if you have, and I see there's at least one student in here that's been in this class before, then you do, yes, I have an Alex login. And the reason why that's important, and of course you've probably forgotten all that information by now because I didn't teach 120 during the summer and I forgot a lot of stuff. So if you have a layoff, you forget all those things. But the reason why you want to be able to go through, yes, I have, is if you use that old account information, then they're going to credit you and you'll get the Alex access without having to pay again. If you say create a new account or no, I've never used account, then it's going to expect you to be responsible for that payment. That's just the way that it works. That's the way they decide. All right. So no, I've never used Alex. And then you can put in your information. I'm just going to do what they got in here. Let's see how far I can get. All right. So once you do that, it's what you call, it's now paired with Canvas. So that means now, unlike the way we were doing it in previous semesters, this time it's fully paired. You may be able to still go through the Alex website, but if you go through the modules, it'll go directly to your Alex account. Now, of course, here's where you're going to, and I'm going to have to do something real quick to help y'all out, because I would almost bet that some of you have not are gonna not be ready to pay this. So I got a 2-week code, and the 2-week code will get you 2 weeks. But after that, it's going to cut you off. So no matter whether you're in the middle of a test or you got something important due or whatever, it will knock you out. So let's see. Always have to remember how to do this, and it's pretty easy on this one. So I'm going to request a code, and then it's going to email it to me, and I'm going to put it in the class announcement. All right. So as I said, is you got to either have a code or you got to purchase. If you just purchase it, then you don't have to worry about an access code, because it likes that better than, because that access code, you're either going to get that from a textbook, or like I said, it's going to be like the one that I'm going to send to you here in a second, or I'm going to put in the announcements, and I'll show you. Has anybody got any questions so far? I don't know how long it's going to take it to show up. I thought it was going to be quick. But at any rate, that's your two choices. You either got to pay, or you can put in the access code from a textbook, and that's got to be the correct one. It's got to be one purchased from the Delgado bookstore. Or, like I said, I can give you what they call the financial aid code, give you 2 weeks. But like I said, that's your responsibility to keep up with that, because it'll cut you off. And then at some point you'll have to come back and do the, well, it's not going to come as quick as I thought it was. But I'll have it ready for when it does. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you got it from the bookstore. And what that is, it's the Delgado Custom Edition. And that's kind of a way to at least save you some money. But as long as it's got that access code in there, I think it's in the back cover or something like that. Just put that code in there. It says something like Delgado Math 120 on the front. I can't remember what the picture is. Well, that's what I've been talking about the trial period. They don't give you anything. What I'm saying is, and listen up, I'm going to give you this code that will give you 2 weeks, but they will cut you off at the end of that 2 weeks. So, like, if you're doing something important at 5:50 p.m. in 2 weeks, which I think is around Labor Day, they will cut you off. The interest, that was what I was doing. But like I said, as I requested one, but usually they come pretty quick, but I don't see it. I should have done it earlier, but I had so much stuff going on with my other class students. Well, anyway, let's just see what else we can get into. Once you get in, let me just go back and show you. Let me just see who else showed up. Yeah. All right. Let's see. I got a Raven Brown on here. I don't see in the class yet. Christina Aber, I don't see yet. I'll check again later, but I just want to make use of the time that I'm. Let's see, Samuel Cates. And if you want to just if you hear me say your name, you can just text me if you want to. I'm trying to find you, but Brianne Skidmore, I remember she contacted me. I don't see her here yet, though. And then Sky Stockstill. I don't see it yet. All right. Well, I'm just going to kind of show you what the inside of Alex looks like. Because the main thing I want you to do today is get set up on the account and do the assessment. What do they call it? There's a name for it. It's basically a skills test. You go through. It's going to ask you a bunch of questions about things that some of them will be prerequisite stuff. Some things are actually in the class. And what it wants to find out, the reason why you want to take this is just so the way Alex works is it's going to try to hone the learning to those things that you already know versus things that you don't know. So in other words, if you don't quite not really good at adding fractions, when we get to a chapter that involves that's going to have some added fractions in there, it'll show you the steps in there. So likewise, if you've taken the course before and you did pretty well on the logic section, then your logic section in Alex Learning Path is not going to be nearly as arduous because it's going to give you credit for that. All right, let me find my student view here on this. I don't know why that code is taking so long to show up. So, Courtney, did you share a picture of the book or what? But it's what's on the front of it. Like I said, I hadn't been to the bookstore in a while. I just basically always encourage my students to just get the the online stuff. It's cheaper and it's cheaper. Plus, you get a copy of the ebook. Okay, so once you get in, this is what you'll see. Like I said, once you get past that access code thing, and so like I said, it's going to assume that you've never used ALEKS before, and most likely you haven't unless you did it at another school or you took this class previously here at Delgado in the last couple of years. So you got to go through all this because they're going to give you a bunch of things. See if ALEKS figures out the topics you already know, and then it's going to help you take the right path to success. So that's why it's going to put you through that. Generally, when you're taking through this stuff, if you don't really know something and you don't know it real quick, I would just answer anything, or because if you have to spend a lot of time figuring it out, then it's probably best to just not take it out, because you want to keep that in your path. Like I said, you're not going to get any more work than other people, but the process of getting to that will make it easier. In other words, when they go to explain something to you, you won't have all the little steps for something that you already learned. So once you get in, they tell you the main menu. Like I said, they're going to give you a lot of these click boxes. You got to go through them. And so this is where you got to get started at. I think, as I remember, I looked and there were already some people signed up and already started this. So this is good. But I'm going from the perspective that you've started from scratch. But the first thing they do is just give you a little tutorial. Most people already know how to do this kind of stuff. I'm going to say skip tutorial. But if you need to go through that, if you've never used any kind of an online system, then I would just stay in this. Take it. It's not going to take you that long. So here's how to enter a fraction. You click on the fraction thing, and then you put the bottom in. So they show you how to do those kind of things. So it's not very long, but if you need to go through, do it. Tells you how to do the exponent. And don't get too freaked out. There's not much of that kind of stuff in here. Algebra is not really algebra in here. But this is a kind of a basic tool. They don't know what you know. I mean, what class this is. How to draw a line. Put one point, second point, and then click. All right. That's basically all this is going to do. So from this point, I'm going to skip the tutorial. They got a little calculator in here. This is a neat little calculator. And you'll be able to use this throughout the course. It doesn't appear on every problem, but for ones where you need it, it'll put this little calculator in here, and they'll give you the instructions for using it. So this is a good one to use. So let's just skip that. I'll tell you, I'm worried about that financial access code. So now you've completed the tutorial. Yay. They kind of do a lot of that on congratulating you when you do things. So now, this thing right here is called the knowledge check. There may be some way for you to get out of it. And like I said, it's going to scare the pants off of you because you're going to see things that you don't remember. and you're going to see things maybe that you know, but you try your best to answer them. All right. Like I said, is if you just opt out of it by just going through no answer, I think you can do, then the worst it's going to do is when it shows you an explanation, it's going to go through every little bitty step that there is. Okay. So this is what I want you to complete today. And I was hoping that we could do it today in class, but the old teacher here didn't think about the financial access code would be helpful to some people. Like I said, I know that there's some people that are already signed up because I looked, but you know, and when it says don't get help from others, the reason is it wants to know what you know. All right, because it's going to be able to help you learn better if it knows what you know. All right. Hold on a second. Where did it do that? I stopped sharing. Let me go back and do it. What in the world? I don't know why it just all of a sudden stopped sharing. Well, the thing is, it's still on my screen. Let me just go ahead and reload it. Sometimes you just gotta reload stuff to get it to work. Oh, I gotta do the share again. Well, what is it showing that for? I don't know why it happened. I don't know why it went away, but there it is back. All right. So, like I said, is you're just going to go through this procedure, and like I said, is that's probably going to take you a good part of an hour to do that. All right. Start knowledge check and go through it. Answers. All right. So this is a good time to open up the floor for questions. Like I said, is I know that there's people in here that have already signed up, so you can get started on that because that's important. And I think I remember one person had already started. Anybody got any questions? Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna just try that thing again and see if about the access codes because it's got me thinking that maybe it's not. Like maybe it didn't go through. The request didn't go through. All right. So y'all are hearing me all right, aren't you? All right, good. Um, Let me just request that code again. Because it'd be good for y'all to get it in here tonight. Like I said, there's a handful of people that are already started on this, so that's good. Okay. Waiting. Maybe it's putting it into my trash or something. Oh. No. Well, I thought I could get you that, but like I said, this. I don't know what the deal is. It's just not coming down. Let's just wait a little bit longer. So, anybody got any questions? Come on. Let's see. Did Raven ever show up? Christina Aber, did we ever see her? Samuel Cates, is he in the house? I don't see him. Breon Skidmore. Sky Stockstone. All right. Well, I don't know why they have to do it by email. Why can't they just hand it to you in here? I don't know. Well, they consider it a privilege, so I don't know if they're not doing it or what. But when it comes up there, I'll stick it in the announcement. All right. Well, I'm just gonna. Like I said, I'd like to get you set up on that and do that assessment because you're gonna have to do that before you start doing homework. All right. And I'm just going to kind of go through some basic for the course here then, since oh, and let me just show you about the syllabus. The syllabus is over here. If you haven't found it, it's a couple of different places you can get it. I put a link to it in the announcements. So if you click on that announcement that came out, that announcement would go to your default email. Then you can click it up there. Click that, and then it opens up in the oops, wrong thing. Why is it not giving me the right thing? All right, so there's the syllabus. That's pretty much got everything that you do it. I'll just kind of give you a little breakdown of the class. But essentially, I mean, we're meeting in the Canvas conference section, 5:30 to 6:45, Monday and Wednesday, fall 2020. That's a number you can reach me. Generally speaking, I don't mind you sending me any questions about the material. If it has to do with tasks and I miss deadlines, I'm going to block you because you are in a college now. So if I'm going to have problems with a deadline, let me know beforehand. All right. Because the worst thing is for somebody to send me a message at 11:59 p.m. crying and say, "Oh, can you extend this?" Because generally I do not extend things because it's not good, and it's not a very good habit to get into because we have to go through a certain amount of material. All right. I'm giving you plenty of time to do these things. So, and everything that you need to know is in this document. And I'm going to show you the main stuff, okay? Because obviously, I don't have an office that I can be in all the time because of what's going on. So that's what that little cartoon is about. Everything is in there. So the most important part is just this thing here of what I would call a course calendar. And this has just got how the course is broken down. The way it's going to be done is you've got essentially 4 chapters of material, but it's broken into 5 tests in an exam, and I'll explain in a second. The first test is going to be on chapter 2, it's called. In those books that come from Delgado, you don't see a chapter before. They just give you the 4 chapters, but it's still called chapter 2. And that's set theory. After set theory is done, and that'll be right around Labor Day time. I think it's right before Labor Day, we'll have our first test. Then after that, and notice that that this is proctored in Respondus, okay? So to make sure that this is working, you need to do this Respondus system check first. And do that as quick as you can because you got to get that running in order to be able to take the tests. There's no way that you can take these tests without them being proctored. And what they're using to proctor is the Respondus system that works through Alex, actually. And what that does is it allows, it'll just check your verification, like your ID, so you need to have a camera. And then it'll keep its eye on you to make sure you're not doing anything, doing any cheating, like getting help or anything you're not supposed to do kind of thing. And so do that as soon as you can after you do your initial knowledge check. So those are the 2 important things to do first. And then when you get to that task right around Labor Day, you'll have that system working and you can do that. And if I'm not mistaken, this may not work on Chromebooks. I'm not 100% sure. They may have added it since, because in the spring they did not have it. And they may have done that in the summer because I noticed that for the My Math Lab, they've actually got a system in there now. So then what takes us up to like a little bit before midterm is chapter 3. And then you got another test, which is right around the end of September. And then about that same time, I may have to adjust a couple of these dates, we'll see. Then you'll go over 3 more sections of chapter 10. And that is going to be included with the other 2 chapters on that midterm. And I hope you all appreciate the way that I'm doing this because I just hate the idea of having a 3rd test in there and a midterm because we got to give you that midterm. So the midterm is the first 2 chapters and the first three chapters of sections of chapter 10. So this way, I think it's a little bit maybe more sane. All right, and then after midterm, and right, and it's really not on the tails of midterm, is the fall break, and that fall break essentially after that's when we start into chapter 10 for the most part. The things will start coming due the rest of chapter 10, what they call probability. All right. That's generally where people start running into problems because it's just kind of a hard topic to learn. There's a lot of little nuances to it. And then you got your fourth test, which is also proctored in ALEKS Respondus. And then at the end of the semester, towards November, you got chapter 11, which usually people get to that and they breathe a sigh of relief because it's usually a lot easier in comparison to chapter 10. Now, I've got a bunch of little due dates in here. Those are all for homeworks and such as you go, as well as the tests. The homework is not, worth a great deal, but this is just my observation of being a teacher over the years. Unless you're some kind of a savant, and really, really smart, you're not going to be able to pass the test without doing that homework. And I've even got little practice quizzes in there to help you, get used to all these things. Well, that's what I was saying is you can use that calculator later in ALEKS. You can use that one. But you can use that same calculator, that TI, whatever it is. Let's see. It's the same one that they use for Math 097. But if you want another one that's, I'll just show you. It's about $10. But you don't need it because that thing that's in ALEKS works very well, I think. And then if you took Math 197, you probably remember this one. So this one right here, if you want to get another one. Yeah, that's it, 30x2s. You don't need to go out and buy anything because, like I said, is in ALEKS, there is that calculator. And this thing is just kind of getting my goat about why I don't see. I'm going to send off an email to this guy that if there's some kind of problem with the codes. Okay, so I'm gonna send that to him so that way. So anyway, let's go back. So that's the one you can use right there. Thanks, viewer. Yeah. But like I said, if it was up to me, I would just use the one in Alex. But so you're gonna have access to it. So let's just finish up the syllabus here real quick. There's not much to it. And I'll open up the questions, and then we'll look at a little bit of chapter 2, just to kind of get your juices flowing. So the way the departmental works is they've got a departmental midterm and final. They've added the midterm this semester because of the whole virtual class thing. I try to get that fourth test in so you can take it before the final drop date on November 4th or right around there. I think that's right. And then you finish up with chapter 11. And at the end of the semester, right around December 2nd, there's that midterm, the final examination. Usually we get the Wednesday and it's at 8 o'clock in the morning, but we may be able to get a time period that is, a window rather of several days rather than just that 2-hour period. You don't need them for the assignments. No, the assignments and the quizzes. No, it's only for those major tests. Does that answer your question, Christina? And I was looking for you before because I think when I was doing the roll, whatever, I forget you. All right, did any other people show up? Raven, Samuel, Breon, or Sky? I try to do this at the beginning because I'll forget if I don't. And the attendance never will hurt your grade as far as numerically, but I mean, the whole idea of coming to class and learning things and knowing what's going on is really impinged upon you coming to class. But I do record these. Oh, okay. What? How far up north? Oh, wow. Neat. So, like I said, attendance never hurts your grade, but I keep track of it just to kind of cover my tail because, the things, some of the things that happen is that students will complain and, oh, blah, 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 blah. And then if I go and show the attendance to, the dean, they can see why the student is complaining. Because attendance is never going to ensure you've got, it's never going to ensure that you pass the course, but it is a factor. There's a correlation. All right, so the last little thing, as I said, very important. You got to make sure you check out that Respondus thing. All right. The reason why I put it on there for 8/23 which is August 23rd, which is like next week, is just to get it out of the way because what the dean had told us is that we wanted to make sure that students had the technical capability to take the tests before the drop date, because on August 31, after August 31, or beginning August 31, if you drop, it shows up as a W. But if you drop before then, it doesn't appear on the transcript. All right, and 75%. I want to take that out because it changed. It's actually 35% now. Actually, I got to fix that. I thought I had fixed this. Oh, I'm not doing this without it. So it was, I need 40%. There we go. And like I said, there's a midterm. So that kind of straightens it out there. All right. I just realized that if you miss a test, you're going to make it up with the final exam. All right. There's no makeup tests. If you've got a problem, let me know beforehand. I'll be glad to try to adjust the date to accommodate you. But generally speaking, we need to keep up with the pace of the class in order to do this. And once I get the grade book set up in Canvas, or once we start getting grades, I got to figure out how to sync. The guys that runs this course are going to show me how to sync, so it'll pull the grades over, and they should be accurate. But it's not set up that way yet. All right, so we only got about 15 more minutes. So I want to just talk briefly about a couple of things. And if you got any questions, shoot again, all right? All right, so what I generally use, I've got in Canvas. I've got some notes. And as I said and I'll simply go over these things and answer some of the questions that are in here. But if you go to modules, again, and you click on the second one, the teacher's notes, it opens up. And we'll just talk about these to kind of close out the class. And as I said before, please try to get on that on the ALEC system and do that system check, not the system check, the knowledge check before the next class. If I get that financial access code, I will put it on here in the announcement and send it out again. But like I said, I just don't understand why I've not been getting it. I've done it 3 times. Okay. So, because that's key to this class, is just being successful as this class is keeping up with the work. The people that usually fail, I mean, they're generally not doing the homework. Because if you can do the homework, then you can do the practice quiz. If you can do the practice quizzes, then you can do the tests. Maybe you don't do them perfect, but. So yeah, we're going to start on chapter. I see that question, Nitris. Which is what we're going to start with. This is called chapter 2 in the book. But this is probably different than a lot of other things you've seen in mathematics. There's no algebra. So we're going to just be talking about some very basics and underlying things in mathematics. And this is what's called sets. And we got concepts of sets. Now, a set is just any collection of objects takes from some fixed universe that we're going to call U. All right. So what does that mean? Let's just say that we have the universal set of letters of the alphabet. The universal set of the letters of the alphabet is the 26 letters. And then if we wanted to look at anything under that discussion, we could talk about and know and agree what's inside of that set. Because once we define it, then we know what's in it. You could kind of think of it also in a more literal sense, like the universe. The universe is the biggest set that we know about. And so if we wanted to talk about the universe, then we're talking about everything that exists. But generally, when we talk about the universal set, we're narrowing it down. So if we talk about something like the universal set of governors of Louisiana, we could define all of those because we would go all the way back to the first one, and I don't know what they are, but I'm just saying, and come up to the one we got now, and we could list them all out, or in some way know them. Now, a set can be either finite or infinite. Generally, a finite set would be something like, let me just show you this drawing out. And I'm recording this, so. Generally, the way we do a set is we use, to open it up, we use this little symbol. That's a 2, 4, 6, 8. That easily takes time. Can you see that yet? Something's happening. The way I do things is I got 2 computers here. I got the big computer that I do the different screens and show you what I'm looking at, or if I'm drawing. And then I got my little Chromebook here, which is what's doing the picture and the audio feed. Let me reload it because I'm not seeing it. So I'm figuring y'all are probably the same thing, because my Chromebook is just like a listener, or just like you would be. So why in the world is it still not showing up? I guess I'm just going to go back over the notes and type it in. Maybe that'll work better. I don't know why that's not doing that. Not many of these things cooperating tonight. All right, so here's an example of a finite set. It just means that they're all listed. It can be larger than this. And then an infinite set. Well, you can't list out everything in an infinite set. So we got some ways we can do this. Generally, we list about 4 of them. And then we can kind of do ... and then close. I'm sorry, not close, but just do ... and that means that it goes on and on. All right, and that would be an example of infinite set. It doesn't stop at 4. It goes on and on and on as long as you could keep counting. And we could call that set the set of natural numbers, because there's an infinite number of them. If you can always count one more if you want to. All right. Any questions? Like I said, I'm trying to go light tonight, but I'm a bit tired. First day is really. Now, there's some symbolism here. And if A is a set, then this little thing is, this little terminology here, it's kind of hard. Yeah, there it goes. That is read as X is an element of A. So if A was this set, all right, and let's just say this one was B, we could say 5 let's see, what is that little doohickey called? Yeah, draw the little pitchfork thing out. I'm just going to type it out. All right. So 5 is an element of B. But instead of saying is an element, you can use this little pitchfork looking thing. All right. Now, let's just say we want to talk about 9. And that's not in, that is in B, but it's not in okay. And like I said, is we could replace it with that little symbol. And if I could write it, if the board was cooperating, I would write it over there. Still trying to find that thing. Don't see it. I don't know what's going on. There's 2 different ways to represent. You can either use the roster method, which is just a list them out. And that's what essentially both of these were. These were roster methods. All right. Each element in the set is listed out. So like for set B, it's not possible to list them all out, but the ... serves as a way to let us do that. You can also do something called set builder notation, which is this kind of little bitty, it looks more complicated because it includes some symbolism in it rather than just list out the elements like the roster method would do. So in other words, like for A, another way of writing it is using the set builder notation. And actually, those 2 things mean the same thing. The A here and this A, they both are a way of saying the same thing. The thing that's different about the set builder notation, and usually this part is always the same right here. Well, I can't select it like I'd like to. There we go. That part is generally always going to be the same. What is important is this part, because this defines where X is at. X is between 5 and 8, and you got to watch your little less than and greater than sign, because each one of those has an equal sign under it. So that means it includes 5 and 8. And also this little thing here, it looks like a little N with a banner, going down from top to bottom. That means natural numbers, and that's what just limits it to only being those counting numbers. You could also say the exact same thing another way using the set builder notation, and going out 1 on each side. So in other words, 4 to 9, and leaving out the equal signs. And so that way you're not, you just got to be on the ball and know that 9 is not included because there's no equal sign. And on the other side, 4 is not included. So what are you going to start with? On the left-hand side, you start with 5. And what do you end with on the right? It's 8. All right. Let me just give you one more little couple of things here, and we'll knock off and bring back any questions you have tomorrow. I'm glad we're back into the regular semester, because during the summer I was teaching, they'd knocked some days off, and it was a mean, there was almost no time to have any discussion. But if we say 2 sets are equal, and that's what this equal sign means, if set A and B are equal, and I could even go back up here and call this one B, even though they look different, those 2 are equal because they contain the exact same elements. All right. So that's how we express equality. It has to be the exact same elements. Now, the cardinal number, which is represented as this, you could almost read it as n of a. It simply means the number of elements in that set. So for this set up here, either A or B, they both got the same elements. You got the 5, you got the 6, you got the 7, and you got the 8. You got 4 elements in there. So the cardinal number of either set A or B is 4. It's not important exactly what the elements are when we're talking about the cardinal number. It's just how many there are. Now, two sets are equivalent if the number of elements in each of the set that you're comparing are the same. So in this example that we got up there, if this is set A and this is set B, we already talked about them being equal. And if they're equal, they will also be equivalent. All right. And then one more last thing. The empty set is a set that has no elements in it. So the cardinal number would be 0. And you can write it two ways. You can either just open and close, or you can use this little symbol, which is like a O with a line through it. I think this ALEKS system encourages you to use the first one, but those two things mean the same thing. So that's enough for today. We're pretty much out of time. So if you got any